What if I told you there's a disaster lurking in your compost bin right now, and you might not even realize it? August is a crucial month for composting, and a common oversight can lead to a pile of problems that could set your gardening efforts back for months. As fellow gardeners, we've all been there, thinking our compost pile is humming along perfectly, while secretly harboring issues that could turn our valuable organic matter into a smelly, useless mess. August presents unique challenges that even experienced composters often overlook. The intense heat, fluctuating humidity, and abundance of green materials from your garden create a perfect storm of potential problems. Today, we're diving deep into the most common mistake that's silently sabotaging compost piles across the country, and I'll share the actionable solutions that will transform your August composting from disaster to triumph. Hey, so your compost pile might be silently failing right now, and the culprit isn't what you'd expect. While most gardeners focus on what goes into their compost, the real August disaster actually stems from what's happening inside that pile during the hottest month of the year. The scorching temperatures that make us retreat to air-conditioned spaces are honestly wreaking havoc on the delicate ecosystem within your compost bin. August is uniquely challenging because it combines extreme heat with peak garden productivity. Your vegetables are producing maximum waste, your lawn needs frequent mowing, and, well, all that fallen fruit creates an abundance of nitrogen-rich materials. This seems like a composting goldmine, but it's actually setting the stage for the most common composting catastrophe of the year. The mistake that virtually every gardener makes during this critical month involves a fundamental misunderstanding of how heat affects the composting process. The secret lies in recognizing that August compost isn't just regular compost in hot weather, it's an entirely different beast that requires a completely different approach. The biological processes that work beautifully in spring and fall become turbocharged and potentially destructive when temperatures soar above 90 degrees Fahrenheit for days on end. The most widespread error plaguing August composters is the dangerous assumption that summer humidity provides adequate moisture for their piles. This dehydration delusion has destroyed more compost piles than any other single factor, yet it's completely preventable once you understand what's really happening. Your compost pile is secretly bone dry, even if the air around it feels humid and sticky. The intense August sun creates a dehydrating effect that pulls moisture from your pile faster than most gardeners can imagine. While you're feeling the oppressive humidity, your compost microorganisms are literally dying of thirst. These beneficial bacteria and fungi require consistent moisture levels between 40 and 60% to function properly, but August heat can drop internal pile moisture to as low as 20% within just a few days. The critical importance of moisture balance becomes even more pronounced in hot weather because, well, dry conditions don't just slow decomposition, they stop it entirely. Without adequate moisture, the beneficial microorganisms that break down your organic matter enter a dormant state or, unfortunately, die off completely. Your pile essentially becomes a collection of mummified kitchen scraps and yard waste that can take years to break down naturally. Testing your compost's hydration levels is surprisingly simple and should definitely become part of your August routine. Just grab a handful of material from about 6 inches deep into your pile and squeeze it firmly. Properly hydrated compost should feel, like a wrung-out sponge moist but not dripping. If only a few drops emerge or if the material crumbles in your hand, well, you've discovered the source of your composting problems. This simple squeeze test should be performed at least twice weekly during August, since moisture levels can change dramatically within just 48 to 72 hours of hot weather. The second critical error that devastates August compost piles involves overlooking dangerous temperature spikes that literally cook your beneficial microorganisms to death. While we often think of heat as something that accelerates decomposition, excessive temperatures actually halt the process and can permanently damage your pile's biological foundation. When internal compost temperatures exceed 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which honestly happens frighteningly often in August, you're no longer composting, you're sterilizing. These temperature spikes kill the diverse community of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that, transform your organic waste into nutrient-rich humus. Instead of beneficial decomposition, you end up with cooked organic matter that may look like it's breaking down, but it actually lacks the biological activity necessary for creating true compost. The dangers of cooking your compost extend far beyond just killing microorganisms. Excessive heat also breaks down valuable nutrients, especially those nitrogen compounds that your future plants desperately need. Temperatures above 160 degrees literally drive nitrogen out of your pile as ammonia gas, creating that sharp, unpleasant smell that many gardeners mistakenly think is normal. You're essentially watching your garden's future fertility evaporate into the August air. Simple methods to cool down an overheating pile can save months of composting effort. The most effective immediate solution involves creating ventilation channels by pushing a crowbar or thick wooden stake into the pile every 12 to 18 inches, creating air pockets that allow heat to escape. Additionally, moving your pile to a shadier location or covering it with a light-colored tarp can reduce heat absorption. If temperatures have spiked above 160 degrees, temporarily spreading the pile into a thinner layer allows excess heat to dissipate quickly while preserving the biological activity you've worked so hard to cultivate. August's third major composting mistake involves dramatically imbalanced green-to-brown ratios during the peak growing season. This carbon-nitrogen conundrum creates more smelly, slimy disasters than any other composting error, yet most gardeners don't realize they're creating the problem with their abundance of summer garden waste. During August, your garden produces an overwhelming amount of nitrogen-rich green materials, grass clippings, kitchen scraps, fallen tomatoes, and soft plant trimmings. While this abundance might seem like a composting blessing, it actually creates a dangerous imbalance that leads to anaerobic conditions. Without adequate carbon-rich brown materials to balance the nitrogen, your pile becomes a stinking, slimy mess that attracts flies and produces offensive odors that can strain relationships with neighbors. The lack of adequate brown materials in August, stems from a seasonal reality. Most carbon sources like fallen leaves, woody prunings, and dried plant matter are either unavailable or being saved for fall cleanup. This shortage becomes critical because the ideal compost ratio requires roughly 30 parts carbon to every 1 part nitrogen by volume. With August's green material overload, most piles end up with ratios closer to 10 to 1 or even lower, creating, the perfect conditions for putrefaction rather than decomposition. Finding and adding adequate carbon sources during the greenest month really requires creativity and forward planning. Shredded newspaper and cardboard provide excellent, readily available carbon, while dry grass clippings from areas that haven't been watered recently can help balance fresh green materials. Many gardeners successfully stockpile fall leaves in breathable bags or bins, saving them specifically for summer composting needs. Wood chips from tree trimming services, sawdust from woodworking projects, and even dryer lint from natural fiber clothing can provide the carbon balance your August pile desperately needs. Transforming your potentially disastrous August compost into a thriving biological powerhouse requires consistent daily attention and a few simple but crucial interventions. The revival process begins with establishing a routine that addresses the 3 critical factors we've identified: moisture, temperature, and carbon-nitrogen balance. Your first actionable step involves implementing daily quick checks that take less than 5 minutes but can prevent weeks of problems. Every morning, before the day's heat becomes unbearable, check your pile's surface temperature by holding your hand 6 inches above the center. If the heat feels uncomfortable, internal temperatures are likely approaching dangerous levels. Simultaneously, perform the squeeze test on material from different depths and locations within your pile. This daily monitoring, allows you to catch problems before they become disasters and helps you understand how quickly conditions change during extreme weather. The second crucial intervention involves creating what I call the compost cocktail, a perfectly balanced August mixture that addresses all three common problems simultaneously. This cocktail combines equal parts fresh green materials, aged brown materials, and coarse materials for aeration. The magic ingredient is adding roughly 10% finished compost or garden soil to each new addition, which immediately inoculates your pile with beneficial microorganisms that can handle August's challenging conditions. Water this mixture until it reaches the proper moisture level, then add it to your pile in thin layers rather than dumping it all in one spot. Your third actionable step focuses on strategic turning techniques specifically designed for August's intense heat. Rather than turning your entire pile at once, which can shock the system and release beneficial moisture, use a technique called progressive turning. Turn only 1/3 of your pile every other day, moving material from the outside edges toward the center while bringing center material to the edges. This gradual approach maintains biological activity while ensuring adequate aeration, and it also prevents the temperature spikes that can destroy your pile's microbial community. The key to August composting success lies in understanding that, honestly, consistency matters more than perfection. Small daily actions prevent the major disasters that can set your composting efforts back for months. By monitoring moisture and temperature daily, maintaining proper ratios with readily available materials, and using gentle turning techniques, you'll create compost that not only survives August's challenges, but actually thrives in them. Remember, every garden disaster is actually a learning opportunity in disguise. The August compost challenges that seem so daunting today will make you a more skilled and confident composter for years to come. Your future plants will thank you for the rich, living soil amendment you're creating through these hot summer months. If this guide has helped you identify potential problems in your own August composting routine, don't forget to subscribe to Smart Garden for more in-depth gardening solutions and seasonal tips that can, really transform your growing success. Share this video with fellow gardeners who might be struggling with mysterious compost problems. Together, we can help everyone avoid these common August disasters and create the thriving gardens we all dream of growing.